You may not like boxing, the idea of people hitting each other, but when studying anatomy, we can really appreciate the physique of a boxer, the serratus, rectus abdominis, pectoralis major, of the mighty Sugar Ray Leonard in his battle against Roberto Duran. Well, to understand these muscles, we need to take a look at the anchor point, which is the sternum, comprised of a manubrium on top, body of the sternum, and in the inferior xiphoid process, that little bone that gets off sometimes during CPR. The ribs, true ribs, have attachment to the sternum, and the ribs down below are indirectly connected. All right, once we have the rib cage sorted out, then we can look at pectoral. It's a deep muscle arising from ribs 3 through 5. And you can just imagine, you take a deep breath, and those ribs are elevated partly from the action of the pectoralis minor. The scapula or shoulder blade in the back is also stabilized. Superficial muscle, which means it's on top, is the pectoralis major. Now it's arising from the medial border all along the sternum here. Very powerful muscle. So it's superficial. It's going to come across the smaller pectoralis minor. The major's action is to flex and adduct the humerus. So it's attaching to the upper arm bone, and it's going to bring that arm forwards. Very powerful action. We call that adduction and flexion. There's 4 actions. I've just described 2 of them. All right, let's move on. The serratus anterior, which I talked about on Sugar Ray Leonard, attaching from ribs 1 through 8. And it's a jagged muscle. A lot of people are not familiar with it, but there it is. Yeah. And it gives snapping power. It has a short action. It's going to bring the scapula around the side. So just a small action, but very powerful, especially for a snapping sort of short punch. External obliques coming from ribs 5 through 12. So we're now lower on the ribs. And so all this region here are attachment points for the external obliques. And when you're turning sideways and rotating the trunk, ipsilateral, side flexion, those are actions of the external obliques. Now there are other abdominal muscles that I'm not going to cover, but their actions are somewhat similar. Now let's look at the rectus abdominis. Rectus means straight, so straight down the abdomen, attaching to the xiphoid and cartilage on top of ribs 5 through 7. Rectus abdominis, there it is. And find the transversus abdominis, which is going to be a muscle that comes from a perpendicular direction, really. It's going to constrict the abdomen, so it prepares the body for contraction of muscles. So lower ribs 6 and xiphoid coming across like that. There you have some of the most powerful muscles attached to the ribs, starting with the pectoralis minor, major, serratus, external oblique, and 2 ab muscles. There's others there. Now to test some of these muscles out, I did an activity. Now you might think, oh, I don't have time for this. And if you don't have time for it, that's probably more reason to do it. So here's what I did. I did the dead bug, the plank, side plank, which I do not like, reverse, the hollow rock. These are 6 of the top ab workouts. And then I noted how many seconds I did them. And I didn't try to kill myself. I just did it till I was like straining. I was like, oh, I've had enough of this. Well, if you're wondering what am I talking about, let's just take a look. There's the dead bug. Alternate legs. You see that? Right arm down, left leg down. Alternate. And you just keep doing that. Notice the back is flat on the deck. That's a dead bug. On to the standard plank, which I did pretty well on the planks. She didn't hold it very long, but you get the action here. Straight back, head in line with the spine. That's the plank. Here's what I struggle with. This is a side plank. Now, don't let your hips drop. You try to keep a fairly straight line from the chin down to the feet. If you start sagging, well, you can sag when you drop down, but sagging is cheating. So I struggle because I was losing balance there. Side plank. On to this one, which is the reverse crunch. I did okay here. Notice the back, lower back is just coming up a little bit. Okay, we're not going way back here because then you get to rest. No resting. Bam, bam, just like that. Little movements. Yeah, that is the reverse crunch. On to, oh, this one was good. Hollow rock. The hollow rock is, I used a pillow, a little cushion. I didn't have a fancy block. And notice this, okay, I try to curve my lower back because I didn't want to just flop down on a flat lower back. I try to curve it. And man, this should be number 1, I thought, but I think they have it as number 4. Notice she's not tucking her chin too much. She's kind of looking at her knees. Okay, form is real important because cheating just doesn't give you the benefits. Oh, and I finished with the bear walk, right? I think it's called lateral bear walk, yeah. No, the knees don't touch, and you just go back and forth, little steps. And by this point, I was exhausted, so my scores, and I think I mentioned that, my scores were so you have a little narrative. I got tired by the end. So when you're all done, you have your chart. And remember, you might not want to do this, and that's the reason you need to do it. Okay, and at the top, you have your beautiful drawing, your name and title, and you are done. Good luck with it.